The following podcast may have, what would you say it would have, Jesse?
Swear words.
Is that cussing? Yeah, that's
Yeah,
cussing.
cousin. Yeah. Southern for your southernese it would be cousin.
Yeah. May have things that you don't want to hear, then I have to ask why you're listening to it. But, to each his own. So,
I say we should change something. I
what
don't
should
think
we
we should
change?
say may have swear words because you and I, there's no may, I don't think.
This is true. So, let's just go ahead and say, you've been warned. You
Yep.
listen at your own risk. The Blind Nine. Hey everybody, this is Richard. Once again without Jesse, and I thank the Holy One above that I don't have him again. Not really. Jesse's a good guy, but we pick back and forth at each other. But this is the Blind Knights podcast, the official yet unofficial podcast of the Knights of the Braille community, and I have a special guest with me here today. I don't know if chosen or just thrown there at the end or however you want to put it, but had the pleasure of being on his podcast a couple of weeks ago as of this recording. And Chad, introduce yourself.
What's up, Rich? How you doing, my friend?
Doing good. Hot, just like it was last time.
Yeah, same. It's been raining here. We're in the middle of hurricane season, so it's a lot of thunderstorms, so a lot of humidity.
Right.
So that's not fun. But anyways, it's good to be here. Unofficial official. I think that's cool. You should go with that. Unofficial official podcast. That's a fun little title.
I think we keep that and we throw it in every once in a while whenever usually whenever my head gets too big and I think I got all the power in the not to the real world. We'll throw that around. But I had the pleasure of being on your podcast. I said a couple of weeks ago, time seems to drag by whenever you sweat, and then at nighttime you cool off, so you come back to yourself. But it's probably like a week and a half or so ago. But tell us about your podcast, Chad.
Yeah, and before we get started, cool thing is you're gonna be the debut episode for season 2. So no pressure or anything, but yeah, that was a fun recording. I was happy to be able to sit down with you guys and looking forward to some stuff that we have planned for the near future. But anyways, my name is Chad Boughton. I am the host of Hindsight is 20/200. It's a disability podcast that I started back in March of this year. And it was basically just a continuation of my work that I was doing as a public speaker, as well as a fundraiser for an organization here in South Florida called Southeastern Guide Dogs, which trains guide dogs for the visually impaired and service dogs for our veterans that served in the U.S. military. So once I lost my job to the COVID pandemic, I just kind of wanted to continue servicing the community and making a difference and an impact in some way that I knew possible. And it seemed like talking and speaking was kind of, a good thing that I had going on. So I just thought, what, I'm going to start my podcast. So yeah, started the podcast in March of this year, and we've been up and away ever since.
Awesome. Something that I didn't realize until I listened to the podcast of you, where you were on the two brothers or Seesaw, excuse me.
Yeah, love the Seesaw guys.
I also went to that school.
Okay.
At Southeastern. Had a great time there. Met some people that, I kept in contact with for a little bit, but a great place. It was for me. It was near, if I remember right, the Tropicana factory.
Yeah, it was, yeah.
Which is great for me because I'm like an orange juice junkie, I'm like, just hook me up and we'll be good. But great place and good memories there.
Yeah,
but,
a lot of fondness for them. I went through there as well, of course, back in 2014 to get my own guide dog, who's still with me today. He only has about a year left. Then he'll have to retire because he's been working for about 8.5 years now. So he's at that point where it's the age requirement for retiring. So if he chooses so, he'll work for one more year and then it'll just be rest and relax for the rest of his life. But Yeah, it's been a lot of fun to be able to not only go through the school, but then see my sister go through the school as well and get her guide dog. But I got to see her go through the school while I was working, so that was kind of really cool to, as an employee, see your own sibling go through and then get the guide dog as well.
Oh yeah, awesome, awesome. Like I said, I really enjoyed the place.
Hmm.
I was actually going to college whenever I went there and was taking online classes in their little computer area. It was little at the time that I went.
Yeah. When did you go?
Back in I want to think 2006, 7, somewhere along in there.
Okay, wow, yeah, that's way before me. So yeah, it's still in
I'm a
the
lot
old.
older than you, Chad.
Well, no, the funny thing is like you say that because all of that stuff that you and I, stayed on, like it's no longer there. They've completely torn it down and put up new buildings. So the building that you and I probably stayed through is now a parking lot. They have like this whole new student center.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Why do people got to go and change stuff? Just leave it alone.
Well, the rooms are a lot nicer, so I mean, I guess that's kind of a plus.
Oh yeah. That can happen. Funny story is, you have to wash your own clothes there, and or at least whenever I went. Well, I kept looking for something, and thank goodness I don't wear like embarrassing underwear or anything because it had fell out of the dryer, and I didn't realize it until I went to looking for it, and then this nice sweet lady said, "I think these are yours," you know. But it's all good.
The joys of being visually impaired.
I'm telling you, thankfully it wasn't nothing too embarrassing, and they were new and weren't like my usual air conditioning Southern underwear, But tell us, Chad. I mean, you talked a little bit back and forth about tabletop gaming and your experience with it. And I don't usually ask a lot of hosts this or guests. But we have a segment on here, your favorite moment. Do you happen to have a favorite moment in your experiences with tabletop games?
Yes, so I've only been actually participating in actual tabletop for about 2 years now. But I've known about Dungeons and Dragons, and tabletop RPGs for a long time. I'm a big gamer and I'm a big, high fantasy fan. So, Lord of the Rings and stuff like that, I'm huge into. So I've always known about it, but I just never had the confidence to join a game, especially back when I was in high school and middle school. Right. So I'm kind of late in the game, but I know a lot. I'm a big listener of Critical Role. I love their campaigns and everything they do. So I started about last year. I was working for a reemployment office while I was just trying to find out what I was going to do after losing my job with Southeastern because of the pandemic. Right. And one of the employees there is a huge fan of D&D. And she's done a couple of campaigns. She's been a DM for a number of campaigns. And she just had a bunch of people in her office, and she thought, what would be cool if we could do like a lunch break, and every like 2 lunch breaks of the week, we get together and we do a session. So I created my character through D&D Beyond, and at the time, I didn't know that it was accessible through VoiceOver. So when I started playing, I was like, okay, so someone's going to need to help me roll. I'm going to need to help someone help me do the, the checks. So, I know what my charisma and everything is. And then, as we were playing through, maybe like the second or third week, I found out, it works with VoiceOver, so I can do everything myself. So it was cool to like discover as I was playing that I could use the D&D Beyond app to manage everything myself and actually play the game without anyone helping me. But I say my favorite moment, because it's a funny moment. It wasn't a good moment, but looking back, it's just hilarious. We were doing our very first quest, and we had to go get, I think it was lavender from a magic glade. And we're approaching the glade, and it's me, 2 other members. And then I had a character sheet created for a wolf because I'm a ranger. So I wanted my companion to be a wolf so that I can kind of have that be my guide dog in the game with me. So I had a wolf companion named Andros created. So we found a spreadsheet and, kind of gave him his stats and his rolls based off of it.
Sweet.
And yeah, so that was really fun. So we're going through the glade. We're about to go to get the lavender, and then we get attacked by, I think it was like 2 like bears or something. I can't remember what they were, but we get attacked, and all of a sudden, of course, it's first combat. So we're all like, all right, let's see how this goes. And what do you know? It both of my companions get incapacitated because the rule was, since we're all kind of new, no deaths. So if you basically drop to 0, you're incapacitated. So basically, it was just me and Andros, my wolf companion, and I could not get any good rolls. Like I kept getting like as minimum damage as you could think possible. But the funny thing is that Andros, he kept getting high rolls. So both my companions are incapacitated. I'm about to be incapacitated, and lo and behold, through the combined wits and strength of my teeny tiny rolls and my guide dogs or my wolf companions' amazing rolls, we were able to defeat both of the I think they were bears. And then basically had to revive my incapacitated companion so that we can complete the quest. So that was really frustrating because it's just like, wow, I can't get any good rolls. And then the same time I'm rolling for my companion and he ends up saving the day. So that, that was kind of fun. That's probably like the highlight of the me playing so far. It's just that first, taste of combat and then realizing, oh, wow. So this can be super frustrating really quickly because if you just get shit rolls after shit rolls, then you can't do anything. And then just to be standing there as you're doing rolls for your made up wolf companion that's supposed to be, substituting your guide dog in game, and your guide dog's getting better rolls than you, the actual person. That's kind of, funny. So, I just look back at that and chuckle, just being like, if it wasn't for me creating a character sheet for my guide dog, we would have all died and failed the quest.
What I gather from that entire story, everybody that's listening, is the wolf had a ranger companion. The wolf took over there.
Yeah. He got a big steak when we made it back to the tavern, that's for sure.
So you were the sidekick and Andros was the actual
pretty
character.
much. He saved the day. It was just hilarious. Like we all got terrible rolls, and then of course one companion drops, then the other, and then I'm getting low on health, and I'm just like, are we really gonna fail the first quest? And then nope, but we would have if we didn't have that wolf companion.
And the thing is, at first level, you are really squishy. In fact, probably for the first couple of levels, you are. In the opening session that I ran with Ryma the Frost Maiden, 2 of the characters dropped to 0 hit points. And, me being nice, I let them find something so they could come back, because it is first level character, and I understand that. But, they seemed to get a little upset that I helped them out, and they wanted it to be straight up, legit.
Yeah.
Okay, no problem with that. So, I have no problem killing the character if it comes to it.
Yeah.
We've, in this new campaign that I'm running with them, pretty much the same group, I told them, look, you get to 0, you're not incapacitated, you're dead. So, you get to 0, that's it. You get a new character.
Permadeath, basically new character.
Yeah. It brings a lot of intensity to the game, which I think is a good thing. But,
for new players, though, it can be kind of intimidating because you're just, oh, wow, I failed the first quest, and now I have to create a new character.
And it could be overwhelming. I wouldn't necessarily play that way with noobs or newbies.
Yeah.
But with the more experienced players, it's like, look, y'all played this for a while. It's time to get real. If you know what I mean.
You know what I think was funny though, also about that, because I just remembered what was even more hysterical is our DM. Had one of the characters had an ability that would allow them to restore health,
but they also could never get the roll to restore health. So that also added an added element of hystericalness to it, because it's just like, here I'm getting bad rolls. The wolf companion is doing all the damage, and then my companion that can basically revive herself can't revive herself because she's also getting bad rolls. So that was also an added element where we couldn't stop laughing the entire time this is happening.
And that's the beauty of rolling dice is, your fate and everything that you do is up to what lands. You can have these spectacular and grandiose ideas, and yeah, everybody, that was Richard using a big word. I get my daily email, but and then you roll it and you get like a 2. Yeah, that's not gonna happen. But I mean, tabletop games in general are a lot of fun. I've played a lot of D&D, but I also look, to other, tabletop games as well, because there's so many of them out there. But what's one thing that gets Chad into playing tabletop games?
I think it's just, well, I mean, definitely a drink helps.
Right.
That kind of loosens me up a little bit. But I think it's just the fact that I can nerd out as much as I want and not be treated as like a geek or a weirdo, because most of like my daily interactions are with people that otherwise probably don't really entertain the idea of playing a game of D&D, or they played video games growing up, but now they're old, so they don't play them anymore. So for me, it's always like, I'm a kid at heart. I'll be like on my deathbed, probably dressed in like cartoon pajamas or something. I just feel like I'm never gonna truly grow up. So for me, I'll be 30 next year. So it allows me to continue to enjoy a sense of wonder and imagination that I've always loved and that has always been kind of instilled in me since I was a very young kid. So for me, it's kind of, the ability to never kind of really let go of that child in me, because I'm just a complete man baby. So yeah, I just love, being able to throw myself into a role and not be judged for, enveloping that character, because I know everybody else there is, the same way. So yeah, it's something that I really like about D&D, and that really like allows me to get into a role, even if, it can be like an embarrassing role. Like the first time I played D&D, I was immediately like put into like this romantic relationship with like one of the DM's characters. And it was kind of embarrassing at first, because it's just like, okay, I've got to act like, lovey-dovey or something like this, and, reciprocate, or, one side that, the, unreciprocated, so that can be a little bit embarrassing, but then just like, eventually you just realize that, you're not going to be looked at weird if you, go with it. So,
Right.
I just like that about D&D. It's just like, there's no judgment. It's all about the fun, and it's all about the adventure, and then just, your imagination. The game is what you allow it to be.
Yeah, and it's all about the imagination and having fun, and you can do that with any other tabletop game as well. But you brought up the love interest there, and I have to say, we had a player, Jesse, who co-hosts this with me. He had a Luxodon. Well, he had to miss one session. I believe is how it started off, or the bard, picking at him started it maybe. Said that he had sexual relations with a Yeti that they had fought. And, as the campaign went on, they developed the story, and then there was a Yeti Dawn that was a mix between a Yeti and a Luxodon that was roaming the woods and the area up there, and he kept denying it. And I would pick at him a little bit about it here and there. But in the back of my mind, I waited for like one of those sessions that's going to be fairly boring, not a lot happening. Things are tense, and boom, I popped up the Yeti Dawn that showed up, and it was lots and lots of fun.
Yeah.
And Jesse ran with it, and the more that he denied it, the wilder the stories got, of course, but it's a ton of fun to be able to use your imagination and to go out there and basically just let your guard down and just roll with the dice, basically. It's a good way to say it.
Yeah, that's something I was nervous with when I did my first campaign. It's like letting my guard down and just rolling with that, and because it's just like, you're like, okay, so I've got to reciprocate, or I'm in this romantic relationship and I don't know, like, like, how am I supposed to deal with this? But it's just just
go in there and just let everything be as it is, and it is what it is. And I just think, if you can just be comfortable and know that you're not going to be judged for anything you say or how you decide to accept or deny the romantic relationship that is
Right.
created from the DM. It can be fun and as awkward as you allow it to be. So it's just like, it's only awkward if you make it awkward. So that's something that I definitely learned through my first campaign, is to, just, understand that it's only going to be uncomfortable if you make it uncomfortable. And it can be fun if, like you said, you just allow it to be fun.
Exactly. That's my first rule of session rules that I have is everybody needs to have fun. If you're not having fun, then either I'm doing something wrong or this group or campaign just doesn't fit your play style. You know, and no hard feelings if anybody wants to leave or anything, because the way I DM and the way that my group plays is not for everybody. Just like, somebody else's group wouldn't be for me.
Right.
It happens that way. But I do want to talk a little bit about your podcast. But before we get into that, I ask people for their reading recommendations. You sound like a very intelligent person, so I'm assuming that you read a pretty good bit, or at least I hope so, or else I'm going to sound like a dum-dum here. But do you have a book that you'd recommend for us to read?
I mean, I definitely have read quite a lot, and I still, kind of read here and now. One of my favorite books of all time, I don't know how people feel about Dan Brown. Of course, I'm talking about like the Da Vinci Code, The Last Symbol. But one of my absolute favorite books of all time is probably a little lesser known one of his, is called The Digital Fortress. It has to do all about coding. It's more so IT based, but it also has like the elements that you get from like the Da Vinci Code and The Last Symbol or Angels and Demons, like the murder mystery kind of thing. It's been a long time since I read it, but basically it has to do with this group of, IT people that work for like the CIA, and they have like all these codes, and basically someone is like threatening to destroy the world. And they have to solve all of these like digital codes that are being sent their way. And the cool thing is like you can actually go through and solve them on your own if you'd like. And at the very end of the book, there's this one final code that you have to kind of unravel yourself using like, what you've learned through the book. So it's a really, really cool book. If you're like definitely like an IT kind of tech guy or person, I would highly recommend it because it's really, really cool how it blends all of like the digital aspects of, cyber security and cyber warfare, but also with like actual murder mystery elements too. It's hands down one of my favorite books that I've ever read.
Sweet. I'm definitely going to have to check that out because I love stuff like that.
Yeah.
I'm not smart enough to figure it out, but I still enjoy reading them. Since we got a few more minutes here, tell us a little bit about your podcast, what you do, and if you have a favorite guest. We don't want you to mention that because they could get upset if they listen to this. But but just tell us about what you do and some of the guests that you have had on your podcast.
Yeah. So if anyone's interested at checking it out, it's on Anchor, Apple Podcast, and Spotify. Hindsight is 20/200, so 20/200. So Hindsight is 20/200. It started out as just a visually impaired podcast, but I wanted to do more than just talk about visual impairments because I'm someone who likes to learn, and I want to discuss with as many of the communities that are out there when it comes to disability. So I changed it to be a disability podcast. So talk to the visually impaired, motor neural, sensory, cognitive, just the entire universal, kind of thing. Because I just like to learn, because I can only offer my perspective as a visually impaired person. I can't really talk about anyone else's, lived experience. So
Right.
I've had some amazing guests on. I've had the two blind brothers. They were great. I've had Sam Seavey of The Blind Life. Of course, I've had you and Knights of the Braille. I've had, Access Your Life, which is a great company out of the UK, which helps people with motor neural disabilities.
find the right wheelchairs or power chairs for them, but also make it affordable because, learning from him, Felix, that is the owner and founder, it's not easy to find those that are affordable and find the right one with the right information. So that was a really interesting one. One that I really, really enjoyed was, his name is Eric Wickstrom of IDC, and talking and learning about the history of audio description, kind of getting an understanding of how audio description actually started in the beginning, and then moving forward, how he's helped further it along and bring more visually impaired actors to actually doing the voiceover and narrations in like series that are on Netflix. So that was a really, really good one. I learned a lot from it. But yeah, we've had a lot of amazing guests, and season 1 is still wrapping up, and season 2 will launch in July. And of course, like I said, Knights of the Braille will be the first episode, so it'll be the episode 1 of season 2. So hopefully, for those that are listening that would like to hear our conversation, we'll make sure to check it out when it's available.
Exactly, and I mean, we know that I was your favorite guest, so that's why I didn't want anybody else, to get their feelings hurt or anything. But Chad, it's been great to have you on here. I mean, it was a lot of fun being on your podcast, and we'll definitely do it again. And for all those who are listening, we are in the works with some other people to introduce some people to D&D, and really, really looking forward to that. And I promise, if you get down to 0, you don't die. We'll let y'all have some death saving throws. And I can just hear my group just sighing, like, oh yeah, let them have it. But
it'll be fun to see how the Seesaw guys adapt to it and see how they do.
Yeah, we in the one that we did, I usually go over a scene, for something like that, and describe it to them, and they chose dark, and I give them 2 totally different scenes. We should have enough time here. Chad, I love to improv, so give me an environment, and I will give you an improv scene on the spur of the moment.
All right, let's say we are at a port town. We've just rolled in from a long voyage overseas. We had to fight a kraken. One of our companions got hurt, so now we have made it into port town, and we're trying to make sure our companion does not perish and leave us for beyond the grave. And we also need to find provisions as we are still traveling.
Excellent. As the ship creaks in the wind tied to the dock, the sails are furled or rolled up so that the wind does not catch them. The anchor is also down and secured in the rock or land underneath the water. 2 people help your captain off of the ship. He is missing a hand. That is what the Kraken had for an appetizer, and the bloody stump is still bleeding through the bandages as he walks off of the ship with help. As you make it to the end of the dock, you see the wives and families of the sailors that are there, and you hear the scream of his daughter and wife as they arrive up there. Thankfully, she is a healer and is able to stop the blood flow, but will he still be able to captain the ship is the question. The first mate's brother-in-law is a dwarven blacksmith and is able to create a working hook with several hooks similar to a hand that he is able to clench with leather straps and all tied to the back of his elbow or tricep. He's able to clench or unclench it with his other hand, and eventually he can find a magician who can work it and make it work with his brain waves. That's too far in the future, and this is just a short excerpt here. But you all had defeated the Kraken, managing to get the majority of its body up on the ship for stores due to the hide being highly prized and valuable. However, you did not know that you were being tracked by a necromancer who was able to bring the Kraken back to life in the quaint little seaport town.
Ooh.
So,
Let's leave it there.
there's your scene.
Let's leave it there. That might have to be a part of our actual campaign, man.
I love improv, and I did not in the beginning, but I really enjoy it now. I've gotten a lot more confident with that.
Yeah, you're good.
I appreciate it. I don't think I'm that good, but most DMs, don't think they are that good.
Mm-hmm.
We are our own worst critics after all.
Mm-hmm.
But I do appreciate it. That's where I'm going to leave it, and
All right.
we'll see if it makes its way into the one shot or 2 sessions that we might have to do with our friends and cohorts and co-workers and co-inhabitants of the blind community.
I'm looking forward to it. I really am. It's going to be a lot of fun.
I hope so. It'll be a lot of. It'll be definitely exposure. I hope y'all have fun with it. Talking to some of my group, sometimes they have a lot of fun, but then whenever I pull out some punches, they that was intense. But, it's all good. Chad, how can everybody reach you as we get ready to close out this episode?
Yeah, so I'm always on Twitter. It's at 20200 hindsight, all one word, at 2200 hindsight. If you ever want to email me, you can send an email to cmbouton, CMBOUTON at yahoo.com. So send me an email. I'm always happy to respond. Again, Twitter, I'm always on Twitter. So just, send me a DM or tag me. I'll respond as quickly as I can. And then again, if you want to listen to the podcast, Apple, Spotify, Anchor, Hindsight is 20/200.
Thank you, sir. As always, you can find me on Twitter at Braille Knights and at my personal account, which is at Richard Bean 83. You can email me, knightsofthebraille@gmail.com. And we also have our Facebook. It's in a Facebook group, Knights of the Braille. Look us up on Discord at Braille Knights. And don't ask me to tell you the numbers because I don't remember my own. But look us up out there, join us, have fun. And everybody have a good one. And remember to like, share, and subscribe.
This episode is brought to you by the Knights of the Braille and is made possible through the support of viewers such as you. Please remember to like, share, and subscribe to get all of the latest information and episodes. Thank you.